Hey Paul, why don't you just go ahead and just briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what Director of Detroit Urban Solutions at TechTown really means.
Paul RISER, Director of Detroit Urban Solutions at TechTown Detroit. I've been in capacity of a member of the TechTown team for now 6 years. And I started off as Managing Director of Tech-Based Entrepreneur Programs, managing all tech clients, the portfolio of clients we serve, events, fundraising for program expansion and growth, collaborations, and also a team of people, entrepreneurs and residents and coaches and mentors, and who serve our clients, primarily high-tech, high-growth potential, early-stage companies. I evolved to this role of Director of Detroit Urban Solutions probably about maybe 15 months ago. And this role now involves a regional effort to identify and address urban challenges that span multiple verticals, such as energy, such as public health or healthcare, transportation and mobility, housing, water, and environmental issues and sustainability. So I am chartered with the responsibility to develop collaborative strategies and identifying opportunities for projects that can address urban challenges that are led with citizen science, meaning citizen needs, citizen challenges, citizen desires, improving the quality of life for citizens is the key, I think, focus.
So, you mentioned back there public health, environment, water. Why water? And maybe you could describe a little bit about how you see water being related to the kind of work that Urban Solutions and Detroit in particular and TechTown in particular is supposed to be about.
Yeah, well, TechTown is, of course, in part largely focused on supporting our tech-based entrepreneurial economy and building businesses, supporting innovation, supporting ideas in order to grow jobs, grow opportunities, improve the quality of life for individuals, not just the entrepreneurs themselves, but the industries and the people in the communities they serve. So we are here to execute those things, like I said, in part of my role, to look at how technology and tech startups can accomplish that. And I think that, when you look at Michigan and other states, emerging sectors such as energy, life science, IT, and others, there's organizations that need to capitalize and support business acceleration, commercialization, access to capital and financial needs, support these sectors. And, there are many, well-intended emerging industries that fail, but I think that, the Great Lakes presents a very unique opportunity to catalyze, economic growth and development. And it's really, a linchpin, I think, for Michigan in various, tangential sectors and subsectors that impact our lives and our daily lives. But water is a conduit, conduit for commerce. A lot of people don't think of it as, the importance of things like commercial and freight shipping, warehousing, travel. Remains an important part of Michigan's economy, of course, with us being at this international border. It's a resource to grow and make things. It's a central input to things like farming and agriculture, manufacturing, energy production. It's also central to, a more vibrant economic future for us. It's a tool that, if leveraged properly, can stimulate new economic activity, job growth, talent retention, talent attraction, those kinds of things. And so, I see a lot of people, excitedly who want to work on issues of global, sustainability, that want to live in communities, that want to buy product, working companies that are committed to sustainability and stewardship of our natural world. So Michigan can be a place that really amplifies values of innovation, of conservation, and of stewardship. So I think that is, kind of in a nutshell, why I think water is important.
I really like how, that the phrase that you used, water is the conduit of commerce, because, not only are you talking about the work that you're doing right now, that's possible, but it also harkens back, I think, to the past, where there was so much industrial pollution and contamination of rivers from you name it, from the Detroit River to Cuyahoga to Chicago, right? There's so much contamination, even though rivers were vital to the lifeblood and the commercial lifeblood of those cities.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was agreeing. Go ahead.
So when can you maybe reflect back, and I know you described just now why you think water is essential, the environment and water in particular is essential to the work that you're doing at Urban Solutions, but can you reflect back a little bit and think about when exactly you started sort of thinking and realizing, maybe through conversations with partners on the ground, maybe through conversations with community groups, or policymakers, when you started realizing that water and the environment was really like a important area of work that TechDown and any directorate of Urban Solutions really had to start engaging with a little more seriously?
Yeah, good question. I think that this really started with the opportunity, recognition, and understanding that Michigan and even our states in the northern Midwest have so much to offer, and obviously, in the tech space, so much attention is given to the coast. I think at its face value, one of the things that we can do in communities like the Midwest that are often overlooked or overflown is look at what strengths and assets and differentiators we have looking inward, that can catapult, catalyze position and our ability to differentiate what we have to offer. And so I think that, us being surrounded by 25+% of the world's fresh water, not only just the positive that water brings, but also it's obviously a unique set of challenges. We've seen that with Flint, we've seen that with water shut, we've seen that with other things, contaminations, spills into water. But I think that presents, if we look at it properly, with opportunity for change, for solutions, and for innovation. And so Brian Stubbs and Matt Herzog are two key allies of Cleveland Water Alliance.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. Hi, Paul, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. You said, I didn't get what you said. You said someone as key allies?
Yeah, I said Brian Stubbs and Max Herzog,
right,
over at the Cleveland Water Alliance in Cleveland, Ohio, have been deeply engaged in this type of work for many years. And so they are a town of sorts in Cleveland that is solely focused in the water space, water quality, conservation, and kind of our blue economy. And they approached me now, I believe it's been 3.5 years ago, the idea of a Erie Hack competition that could help to drive innovation and collaboration and partnership towards a thoughtful approach of how we address and mitigate and even solve some of these most pressing issues relative to our blue economy and the quality of our water. And so we really, Cleveland Water Alliance and Erie Hack identifies a kind of a innovation partner and an academic partner in each of the 6 cities around Lake Erie Basin that partner for this awesome innovation challenge. And we were identified by as an ideal partner because of our innovation history at Techtown, because of our relationships in the community, because of our steadfast approach to addressing large to small problems, and using innovation and partnering with great minds who are creative and innovators and students and career professionals who want to solve issues in various sectors. And water is one. And so we basically, from that point, decided to jump on board and ran the first Erie Hack Challenge, 3 years ago. And since then have been doing this challenge about every 18 months or so. And the reason that it falls on the unique cadence is because it is, in fact, probably a 6 to 8 month period and journey of executing the Erie Hack mission. So it's very intensive, it's very inclusive, very collaborative. It is very rewarding with respect to the engagement, the relationships that are formed, public-private industry that is engaged, university and academia that's engaged, and the opportunity that we are able to bring forward that otherwise may not have been created in order to address some key issues relative to water.
What did you find, personally interesting or exciting about that project, about this process, the Erie Hack process? Did something really stand out to you and think, this, I didn't know about this, or this is really interesting that I need to focus more on?
Yeah, you know what? For me, it was a few things. One was, I'm not an environment kind of background per se, so I really was excited about it because, as I think most of us, we look for things to push our thought process, our knowledge base, and I knew that this was a new realm that would really push me. I knew that it was an important area of everyday life, of citizenship, and of quality of life. I knew that this would be an amazing way for me to also simultaneously about some of the nuances, the challenges, the opportunities, the way that water is, transported, paid for, managed, some of the deep and steep challenges that we face around algal bloom, nutrient loading, and stormwater runoff. So all of these things, then to be able to combine and bring some of my innovation background and technology background and entrepreneurial passion to help drive this. I'm also a huge advocate for partnership and collaboration. So the opportunity, I think that, like most cities, you have your fair share of silo and kind of lanes that industry, or I should say that organizations and even individuals tend to stay in. Sometimes the means of competition, sometimes it's a means of just comfort. But the ability to kind of break down those silos and bring together unique stakeholders or typical stakeholders who work together more so on a daily, but bringing together these different stakeholder groups around a common, shared, passionate area of our lives I knew that it would serve as an instrumental glue that could transcend even water, that it would form lasting relationships and partnerships, but along the way that we would all be focused on bringing together, innovative ideas, comprehensive strategies that could address some of these most pressing issues that relate to water. So really loved, bringing together public sector, like the private sector, coders, designer, policy leaders, urban planners. It requires so many different types of people, so many different types of thinkers, and the different perspectives, I think, and the different experiences is really what makes an Erie Hack type of successful. Unilateral approaches or unilateral experiences or non-diverse kind of, ways to attack these issues only limits our ability to solve them. And so Erie Hack was just this perfect vehicle to do that. And then, it connected me to 5 other cities. Windsor is a participant, Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, Toledo, Cleveland, and then, of course, Detroit. Mm-hmm. So, and we really took a regional approach to it because, water and challenges and also its impact and its benefits has no boundaries per se. It doesn't have city boundaries, doesn't have student institutional boundaries. We all need to use water, so a great vehicle to bring in some partners who I never worked with, which was great to not only bring into understanding Techtown and Wayne State's work a little bit more intimately, but also each other's work, the other people who are at the table, and is of course, collaboratively working on solving the water challenge issues.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me a little bit about that process where of reaching out to all of these different stakeholders, especially in Detroit, for this new challenge. I mean, like you said, this was a relatively new area of work for you, and a new set of stakeholders. So how did you go about reaching out to these different stakeholders and bringing them to the table or inviting them to the table? And I'm guessing what was the response, I guess, that you got from people when you started saying, hey, this is what we were planning on doing. We'd like you to come. We'd like you to be at this table with us. So I guess I would like to know a little bit more about that process of reaching out and how people responded.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the first year or two, or actually in the first year of Erie Hack, we, starting out, Erie Hack had been run in other cities around the Lake Erie Basin prior to Detroit and Wayne State's and Techtown's engagement. Mm-hmm. So we were added, I think, in the second or third year of Erie Hack, mm-hmm. But I believe at that time it was even called ACA, if I'm not mistaken, prior to. Mm-hmm. But in the first year, I was
it was Aqua Hack. You're right.
Yeah. I was really focused in the first year, really, just getting it kind of all running and establishing a strong foundation, as I looked at it from a long-term view. Mm-hmm. I looked at it also, some of the more likely kind of stakeholders are the, kind of the folks who I reached out to initially, and that even grew in the second year. But, some of the, more likely kind of Detroit Water and Sewage Department, Cranbrook Institute of Science, of course, Wayne State, the University Research Corridor, Great Lakes Water Authority, those were kind of, more day-to-day, they're focused in this space. They know it intimately well. The public utility kind of company, city government was really my initial focus in the first year. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, bringing in the coaches and the mentors and the innovators. But the reception overall was exceedingly, surprisingly high. And I guess for me, I didn't know what really to expect because this was, in fact, somewhat a new sector. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if 10 people would show up or 110 people would show up. But we saw a great response from the community and, the greater regional community at that. So it was awesome to be able to participate and drive this forward. In the subsequent years, I made a very intentional took an intentional approach of getting in some of the tangential kind of potential partners who I knew also would really care about this issue. But these are organizations, like DTE, General Electric, this is Quicken Loans, Henry Ford Health Systems. These organizations were really instrumental in starting to cast a wider net. And again, I can only reiterate that the reception and the response and the engagement and the participation and the excitement around Erie Hack was extremely, extremely high. And it was sustained. A lot of times you bring together different collaborators tough to sustain the engagement, and keeping in mind that Erie Hack is a 6 to 8 month process. So, we were very, very fortunate to be able to bring together these groups, and we formed an advisory board in 2018 with intended to really around 2 key objectives. I think it was to inform and shape the program, to be able to serve, as judges and guest speakers, and the recruitment and shaping of the challenge statements that drive Erie Hack. So Erie Hack is kind of centered around a set of challenge statements that were derived from multiple focus groups across the cities that was in part led by Cleveland Water Alliance and NASA. So NASA was engaged from the early stages. And so this second objective for the advisory board here in Detroit, or Greater Detroit, was to also insist in the outreach by recruiting, participants, coaches, mentors, and making connections to be able to publicize and communicate what we are doing, because it is kind of a foreign kind of intersection to many people. Technology, innovation in water is kind of often thought of in the same vein for many people, and so we had to try to bridge that gap, inform and educate people while we were recruiting them to participate of why it is important, the impact it has and can have, and why they, as non-technologists, are still critically important to this process. So we needed, like I said, we needed technologists, we needed designers, we needed coders, but we also needed the non-technologists. We needed, urban planners, people who were familiar with design, people who were just familiar with procurement, people who were familiar with, agriculture, so those kinds of things were equally important, and we were able to pull those different stakeholders together. And I should make mention that, and go any further without stating the importance of having a strong champion in any kind of endeavor like this. And the Herb Family Foundation really stepped up in a huge way here in southeastern Michigan, and even across the 6-city Lake Erie Basin participating cities for Erie Hack. Herb Family Foundation really stepped up quickly and in a major way to really support the work of Erie Hack, and not just from a financial perspective, but also from a thought perspective, from a strategy perspective, from an engagement perspective. The leadership was heavily engaged, and they helped to engage other partners. So when you ask that question of how did you bring people together, I really leaned on a core set of relationships that was kind of in the toolbox, and asking pretty explicitly, who else can we get engaged? What relationships of yours can we leverage? And everybody was really welcoming and inviting to.
Thank you. So the other part of that, getting people involved question is really about the recruitment of the entrepreneurs and the small businesses themselves, right? And you mentioned recruitment just earlier. So looking back over the past, I think 2 competitions, that Detroit has been a part of Erie Hack. What's your thinking about how the different kinds of people, the different kinds of startups and small businesses who participated, at least in Detroit, for Erie Hack, and what your thinking is in terms of how did you get a hold of them? Would you do something differently in terms of recruitment and expansion? Just maybe think a little bit about what's really happening on the recruitment side.
Yeah. So recruitment side, we think we've got, increasingly correct in each year that we've recruited Erie Hack. And it's also that, we try to not just center our recruitment around the event itself, but try to make this an ongoing year-round kind of recruitment effort. And so we're consistently trying to talk about water quality, water issues, how innovation can impact it, Techtown and Wayne State's engagement in Erie Hack, consistently staying in touch with our partners, and looking for other interim even projects, opportunities, and programs to engage in that can continue to raise the visibility and our voice around our feelings around the importance of this intersection of water and innovation. So we did everything from, leveraging the Michigan entrepreneur ecosystem and long-standing partnerships that Techtown holds. We leverage board members who span, probably 25 organizations across southeastern Michigan, who are helpful in recruitment and getting the word out about our. We, of course, leverage traditional, communication channels such as social media and such as marketing tools and press releases. We also created short videos. So this was kind of critically important because, again, we learned in our first year that it just wasn't a natural leap often for people to understand what their contribution could be and what their value could be in this pursuit of attacking and addressing those pressing issues relative to water, but tapping innovation. And so everyday citizens, I think it was and still is a journey to make sure that they understand that their voice is equally, if not more important than the actual technologists and the creators of these solutions. Because those who are often closest to a problem, those who are best suited to solve the challenges. And so we really try to recruit community organizations and community groups and activists, environmentalists, sustainability groups are all important in this journey and in this fight against improving water quality, access to water. And so these videos really translated. Video is often a great means and a mechanism for reaching captive audiences and educating audiences in a short, succinct manner. And we use that tool to, widely spread, what Erie Hack is about, why participation from anyone and everyone is welcomed and invited. We talked about the incentives for participation and what we were able to create as prizes and rewards for those who participated in the process. The myriad and magnitude of the partners that were already involved. So when you see certain names that you recognize, it may incline you to, look a little deeper and figure out, how does Quicken Loans connect to water? And as an employee of Quicken Loans, why should it be important to me? And so trying to draw those analogies, but and it worked out very, very well. We had, Facebook Live Q&A sessions. We had videos that we created. We attended other meetups and events across the city in order to promote Erie Hack. And of course, like I mentioned, we leveraged our vast number of partnerships, pre-existing, new partnerships across our region in order to get that word out.